Someone's not going to just click on a button to hire a doctor or just see something in an email and go, oh, I'm going to hire this company for $10,000 worth of consulting services.
Hey, podcast listener, you're about to discover insider tips, tricks, and secrets to making more sales and converting more prospects into customers with email marketing. For more information about the Email Marketing Podcast or Autoresponder Guide, go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast. Hey, it's John McIntyre here, the Autoresponder Guy, and it's time for episode 79 of the McMethod Email Marketing Podcast, where you'll discover one really simple thing. It's this simple, right? How to make money every time you send an email to your list. Okay, now today I'll be talking to Corissa St. Laurent from Constant Contact. That's one of the big email autoresponder providers. So it turns out Constant Contact does a lot of coaching with their new customers. So if you sign up, they're going to teach you a bit about your USP, about how to get people onto your list, about how to really engage them via email and build that audience. So I thought, why not get Corissa? She actually signed up to my list, and I thought, wow, let's get Corissa on since she's from Constant Contact and find out what they're doing with their customers, because I'm sure that she has a bunch of valuable stuff to share about that. So that's why she's here. We're going to talk about that, how to, sort of the USP stuff, how to build that engagement, how the audience. Now this is somewhat some email marketing basics, but even if you're advanced, I think it's still going to be helpful, because there's no time when you should stop learning fundamentals. Okay? To get the show notes for this episode of the Email Marketing Podcast, go to themcmethod.com/79. Now, before we get into the interview, I have one special review today. It's from Smoothie. That's what it comes up. SMUTHIE. 5 stars. Listen, learn, act. I love this podcast. I've been listening to it for the last 2 months, and I'm listening to the latest podcast featuring Jesse Moskal, and it's so inspiring. Hearing how he transformed his life makes me think about all the excuses we make. Thank you, Smoothie, for the review. If you want to leave a review too, you will really make my day. I mean, these things really give me the juice to keep going, the motivation to keep going. Go to iTunes, search for the podcast, leave me a review. Now, just in case you're wondering, this podcast about Jesse Moskal. Jesse was in Thailand a long time ago, I think when he was 30 years old, and he actually got caught. It's quite an interesting story. He got caught by the police for a certain crime, ended up going to prison in Thailand. Actually got sentenced to over 100 years prison in Thailand, which is not where you want to be. And while he was in prison, he learned how to do direct response marketing. His brother was sending him books. It's just a really cool story. And now he's back in the US. He's back. He's out from prison. He didn't have to stay in there for 100 years. And now he's building a great marketing and advertising agency. So if you'd like to listen to that episode, go back. I will have a quick look here. It's episode 78. So that's actually last week. So I would go and listen to that if you want to know his story. It's very inspiring, and it really highlights the fact that, our excuses, my excuses, your excuses, a lot of them, they're nothing. I never had to do time in prison. Chances are neither did you. So that's this podcast. Go and listen to that. Other than that, let's get into this interview, this audio training with Corissa St. Laurent from Constant Contact. It's John McIntyre here, the Autoresponder Guy. I'm here with Corissa St. Laurent from Constant Contact. She's the Director of Regional Development in Southern California. Now, Corissa signed up. I think she came through my email list at some point in the last 3 months or so. And I saw that she was from Constant Contact, and I'm always looking for people from some of sort of the email marketing service providers that are out there to get their perspective on email marketing and sort of find out how they're different and what they're up to, because they all have a unique perspective, a unique angle to add to the marketing discussion or the email marketing discussion. So today, we were just chatting, is that Constant Contact is really good for people who, say, are non-marketers and they're not incredible, amazing copywriters or amazing conversion specialists or anything like that. They're just small business owners, and they understand they need to be marketing online with email and all that sort of stuff. So that's really what Constant Contact specializes in, is helping those people. So we're going to talk today about some of the stuff that Corissa and the team at Constant Contact, what they do to work with these non-marketers, and sort of some of the stuff that they teach them and what they suggest and the actions that they give them, because there's a lot of coaching involved, which I thought was really cool. So we'll get into that in just a minute. Corissa, how are you going today?
I'm going really well, John. So nice to be on the podcast with you. Thank you so much for having me on.
No worries. It's good to have you on. I mean, we kind of went back and forth for, I'd say, a good month and a half trying to sort out time. Right. That's just what happens sometimes. When I heard you just said you were coming out to Thailand in a couple months.
Yes, I cannot wait. It's been on our list for a long time to come and visit, so it's going to be awesome. Can't wait.
Sounds a good place. All right, so before we get into sort of the content that I just mentioned, I've given you a little bit of a background. Maybe you can fill in the gaps, or maybe just give yourself a bit more of an intro on who you are so the listener knows who they're listening to.
Sure. I actually came to Constant Contact because I have a passion for helping small businesses and nonprofits grow. So before joining Constant Contact, I owned a marketing firm where I did just that. I helped support small nonprofits as well as small businesses grow through the use of tools that they didn't know about. I mean, they just didn't have any access to this knowledge because they were busy cutting hair and changing tires and doing everything that a small business does. They weren't in the business of marketing. And so for me, it was really, I saw this need in my community to help these small businesses utilize these tools that I knew about, as well as even back then utilizing methods that the large corporations were using that they weren't using. So that's kind of how I came. And actually prior to that, I owned a whole different small business in a whole nother, it feels like a lifetime ago, but in a whole nother industry, and learned on the ground how to market myself and how to grow my business. And so for me, it's just a continuation of that passion to help empower these businesses and help them work smarter.
Cool. Okay. So just to sort of summarize that, you're working with, it sounds like the hairdresser or someone, the mechanic down the road. These are people who have normal businesses who know they need customers but don't really know how to go about it. And they keep hearing about this thing called marketing or internet marketing, and they need help with it. That's sort of your avatar or ideal client, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So really it's that 0 to 10 employee group. It is those people who are looking to and know that they have to do marketing. They just, everyone is hitting them over the head saying, hey, you got to send out emails. You got to be on Facebook. You have to do these things. And so we get a lot of these folks. So I myself and my team here that I manage in Southern California, we go out and actually teach live seminars and teach people how to go about doing online marketing, whether it's through email or through social media. We talk to people about building their brand online. We actually teach people. We get so many folks. I would say 90% of the folks that come to our classes are the small business owner who doesn't know a lick about marketing.
Okay, interesting. So tell me about that. Like, what happens? Well, I guess you bring them on, maybe they sign up to Constant Contact or they come to one of your seminars. How about to start, what are some of the mistakes that you see these people making?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I think one of the biggest mistakes is not engaging with people through their content. They think that, okay, great, now I've got someone's email address, I'm going to just start sending them a bunch of information about my business. And we say, that's a big no-no at the beginning. We really need to build a relationship with these people. They don't necessarily want to immediately hear about who you are, what you do. Let's lead them to the trough, if you will. And certainly you know that best as far as leading people to take that call to action. And so we're really more of that. We look at nurturing from the beginning the relationship through sending great content that the audience wants, and then inserting calls to action that make sense for the business. So I guess the biggest mistake they make is not making a plan around that, not making a plan for what it is they really want out of their emails and even their social posts. They just go, great, okay, I've got this thing. Now I'm just going to start writing and sending it out. Their emails end up becoming kind of useless. They're either useless information that don't have any calls to action, or they're useless because it's all about them and all about calls to action, but it's not about, developing a relationship. So we kind of help them balance that.
Okay, interesting. So it sounds like, this is a classic thing when people, if they've never done sales and if they've never done marketing before, they think that making a sale or marketing a product is you just go out there and you talk all about your product. But one of the first things people have to learn is that before they, to sell, you really, it's really all about the prospect. That before you can mention your product, you really have to figure out, well, who is this prospect? What are their needs? What are their goals? What are their wants? What are they really trying to do in their business? So that when you introduce your product or service as the solution, the person goes, wow, that's perfect. Yeah, where can I sign up?
Absolutely. And I've read it in your emails and your posts that you send out. I've said this to my audiences all the time about finding out what the pain is for your prospect. What is it that they really need help with? What is that pain so that you can become the best solution around that? And so, among the many mistakes that are made, I think, by a novice email marketer, it's really one, not knowing what their end goal is, what is the end result they're trying to get, and two, constantly always talking about themselves and not really helping either solve the problem or describe things in the correct way. And then a third thing is just not doing it, is not sending. So we have a lot of people who sign up and then they just get either scared or busy. And obviously, if you're not sending stuff out, you're not doing anything with the power that you have at your fingertips. And so that ends up becoming a big problem for small businesses who are juggling a lot.
Okay, so how do you've said you kind of work with these people, coaching them or helping them and telling them what to do. What are sort of some of the things that you get them to do to solve these problems, or these, stop making these mistakes?
So after, I might see one of these folks or someone on my team has taught a class and they've signed up and they're, that person's excited to go. Our coaches from Constant Contact call these folks, so they actually reach out, and I get so many people that come to seminars who are customers as well, and they'll just stand up and go, "Oh, I couldn't believe how I got a call from a real person wanting to help me." It was so amazing, awesome. Like from a software company, and they just couldn't believe it. And so we actually reach out to people right away when they sign up and say, "How can we help you? Have you done this before? What do you know about email marketing? What are you scared of?" And just kind of get to what their biggest pains are so that we can help them in the best way. So all of that coaching is done from, either through the phone, through online chat, or through email. And it's not your typical sort of tech support. It goes well beyond that into marketing coaching and empowerment coaching and all the things that we do to try to get our customers to be successful.
Okay, so what would you suggest? You said a lot of people come in there and they're not, they think it's just about, mailing the crap out of their list and telling them all about the product. What do you see working with these small businesses in terms of, are we talking surveys, or are they doing research, or are they writing autoresponders? What sort of stuff works for them?
It's going to depend, of course, on the business and what they're trying to do at the beginning of when we meet them and see them and when they buy our product. But, for a typical small business who's just getting into marketing or just starting marketing, we tell them, okay, let's gather the contacts, certainly. Load up your contact list. Let's segment it if we can. So we know that we're going to be sending, for example, we have a customer who is a rock climbing gym, and they have members for their gym, and then they have people who've just signed up for their email list. And so that's a really simple way, of course, to segment and send out different content to two different audiences. So we'll work with them to do some of that simple stuff at the beginning, and then teach them about how to gather information that will help them further segment down the road. So it kind of opens up the conversation for, triggered segmenting, where you're clicking on a link and then that link will then be captured and that response is going to be captured so that someone can then put those folks on a specific list for follow-up in a specific way, or a specific autoresponder list. And so we kind of teach them at the beginning very slowly, because again, these are folks who, you say the word autoresponder and they freak out. So we want to give them, work with them wherever they're at, wherever they're coming in to Constant Contact, to see what would be best. So setting up, certainly making sure that their account's ready to go. Within Constant Contact, there's a welcome email that's automatically generated when someone signs up for someone's Constant Contact email. So we will coach them around how to create a great welcome email, not just a default message, but a welcome email that serves a purpose.
What is that? What does a great welcome email look like?
So, I'll give you an actual example. There's a green goods store, their eco-friendly product store that's in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I love what they were doing with their welcome email. They actually said, hey, welcome to our email list. We're going to be sending out this type of information. And if you come into the store and say, I forget what their actual phrase was, but they had basically a promo code that you could say when you come to the store, and you got a reusable shopping tote. So it was a way to drive people directly into their store and to thank them for joining their email list. Really simple. They got them right at the beginning when people signed up and were excited, and it drove people into their store. So that's a simple sort of welcome email, welcome offer that we would recommend our audience to do. And then from there, they can set up autoresponders that are based on different types of results you're trying to get, different calls to action. And certainly you know better than me about that.
Yeah. That's interesting. So like if I'm a hairdresser, I'm a mechanic, or I'm a an organic health food store. That's a really cool idea where someone signs up and immediately you give them something really cool. Because, I mean, this is local business, so I haven't really done much of this with, I work with a lot of, it's probably more people with digital products or just consulting services, that sort of thing, not so much a small business like this. So it's interesting to hear sort of what works and what sort of stuff works for them. But I love that idea, how making an offer like that straight away with something really cool, like I come in for $10 off when you're free on your first haircut or something, like getting them straight to the store, because chances are they're 10 minutes down the road.
Exactly, right. We're talking about locality, really talking about people who are their target, immediate target audience right around the corner. And these aren't going to be all brick and mortar businesses that use us. We have a lot of, we certainly work with a lot of online businesses as well as people who serve international markets. But certainly a good core group of our customers are in that camp. And they can just offer something great to just start to engage right away. And it may not be, hey, come into the store. It could be call us and you get this thing. Or it could be that they click on a link and they're able to download an ebook or a white paper or a series of videos that were created for them.
Okay. And what do you see working best? I just noticed on your website here, like HTML templates for these small businesses, or like a text-based email or a blend. What sort of emails usually work?
For our clients, again, depending on the type of business they are, because we work with B2B, B2C, nonprofit, but typically a nice little mix of, I would say, mostly text-based, but with supportive images. So I never would recommend people to include an image that overpowers or overshadows the content, the text, and that's the most important part, is getting people to read what it is you have to say to hopefully get them to do what you want them to do. So the images are great and a nice eye catcher, but they really should just be supportive to the copy.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned B2B there, business-to-business emails. I get a lot of people who come to me and they think, well, email marketing, maybe it works for B2C, but for business to business, it probably doesn't work. That's just they think it's different or it's too difficult, or businesses don't respond to that sort of stuff. So what? Obviously, it does. I mean, you said you've got customers, B2B customers. What's working for them?
Yeah, it's really being the expert and showing up to prove that expertise through great content, and then you can move them to whatever next step that they need to take. So, a B2B similar, I would say, to a doctor. In the sense of, someone's not going to just click on a button to hire a doctor or, necessarily just take, see something in an email, go, oh, I'm going to hire this company, for $10,000 worth of consulting services. So these sort of higher end, not just higher end in a price point, but just longer sales cycle types of businesses, they do really well with email, because it's that if they're providing great value as they send content, they're building the relationship, and they're also proving their expertise. So if you're talking about selling your expertise, you want someone to hire you for marketing, or you want someone to book you as their surgeon, then you really need to prove to them that you're the expert that they need. So it's about sharing expertise and then also giving people great calls to action every time, so that the ones that are ready can take that next step.
It's one of the cool things about content. Like I've noticed with the podcasts that I've got and the emails that I send out, that it really has a powerful effect or a powerful influence on the positioning and the way people see me and my business, in the sense of it really creates that expert positioning. And I didn't really understand it before I started, but when you just send out, it's got to be valuable, it's got to be good content, and it's relevant, all that sort of stuff. If you meet all that, if you just do that regularly, you start to be seen as sort of the preeminent expert in the eyes of your customers and clients and prospects.
Absolutely. You're spending the time sharing that expertise, and you're, even if you aren't the biggest expert in your field, the fact that you're the one with the bullhorn and you're the one actually making the connections and talking, it will put you in that seat as the preeminent expert. And so it's really about making not just the connection, but then nurturing that connection through all of that great, valuable content.
So I'm interested, do you have any, can you give me an example of, say, like a business-to-business email, or, like an example of an email that a business might send out to another business to get them to hire them?
Well, I think it's certainly not something that's going to happen across one email, but in a series of emails, let's say, it would be about sharing, their possibly a customer, or starting out with talking about their expertise, but not telling people about their expertise, but illustrating their expertise, whether a case study, a customer story, or through a series of tips and advice that they give, which if they're going to be giving advice around something, that means they obviously have expertise around it. So if you frame it in I'm teaching you something, I'm sharing something to help you because I know this stuff, then it's all about the audience. Yeah. And I think anytime that an expert or a B2B can make it about the audience, they're going to start winning over that audience and building up the credibility that they need with that audience, so that person who's ready to hire whatever you do is going to look to you. So there's so many different, it's really just kind of a reframing thing. You could easily tell people that, hey, we have expertise in X, Y, and Z, or you can just show them that you have that expertise by sharing information that helps them around that expertise.
Right. Right, I like that. And so, because, one challenge with B2B is that I've found, and some of the clients that I've got have asked about, is that your call to actions change a little bit, because you're right, people aren't going to buy from just one email. Often they might not even be the head of the company. They might be working in the marketing department or any other department. So it's sort of like you've got to, this comes back to that empathy thing, or understanding what your market wants, is that in the case of, say, an employee, they're going to be motivated to buy on a different, they want different benefits to, say, someone at the head. Someone at the head is going to want, they want to make money and they want to grow the bottom line and that sort of thing. But someone in the middle, an employee, wants to wants to do a good job, make a good impression, maybe get a bonus, that sort of thing. So, and then that changes the call to actions in the sense that this person in that department, maybe they can't actually buy the product themselves, but they're responsible for convincing their boss to buy the product. So it's, I think when you take that into account, the call to action shifts, and instead of saying buy now, maybe you've got some ideas, but I'm assuming it's going to be something like reply to this email, or give us a phone, call us on this phone number, or download this white paper here, and then the white paper has a call to action.
Absolutely. So anything that they can share or sign. So that happens a lot with us, where it is a marketing person or even an administrative person that signs up to come to our class, and they're coming to do this sort of information gathering for their boss. And so if you can get them to some next step with you, whether it's to a class that you're teaching, or to a webinar that you are holding, or to your white paper ebook, it's just going to deepen the connection and get them a little bit closer to taking that step. So ultimately, you want to be educating that person who can then pass along the education and the information. So I think if it's, that you're talking to a non-decision maker who influences a decision maker, then if you empower them with information, knock down some objections as you go, and even you could provide them, go as far as providing them infographics and reports that they could even print out and share with their boss or decision maker. You're really empowering them and making them look good. So that's a pretty good strategy.
I love that idea of giving them, like, the amount that they need to be able to explain to their boss or the higher up why they should buy the product, or why they should buy the service. So it's kind of cool when you think, you even have an email like, look, we know that this is a useful thing. What we wanted to do, though, is we know that it's not really up to you to make the decision. So we've created a special, PDF report here that outlines 10 reasons why, your boss should buy this product or service. So then they can take it. Or you could say, here's a PowerPoint presentation that you go to your boss. You'd have a lot of fun with it.
Absolutely, right. And they're going to love you for it, because it's going to make them look good, and it's going to make, whether it's they make the decision to come over to you, it makes them look good. The fact that they're acting professionally and doing the due diligence that they need to do to make a good decision.
And that really comes into that empathy of understanding that the employee usually, it depends on the company, but usually is more interested in making, doing a great job and getting respect within the company, maybe, increasing his positioning for his or her positioning for, the next promotion or something like that. And then you can start to tailor the content. When you talk about the benefits of doing business with you, it's, you start to talk, like I've had a conversation with a friend a while back. We talked about why benefits, in copywriting, everyone talks why benefits are so important. Always talk about the benefits of the product or service. And that's really how you sell it, which is true, but only to a point. in the sense that you could talk about the wrong benefits. Like if you're selling to the employee, but you're talking about how great it's going to be when his business is automated and he can just disappear and he can take off and live in Thailand, for example, on the beach. It's just not going to make sense because the benefit doesn't relate to him. It's not relevant, and that's not the benefit that he's really looking for, and that's not the benefit that he's going to get to enjoy. So it's like, it's great to talk about benefits, but you have to tailor the benefits to the person you're talking to.
That's so true. I've never looked at it that way, but it goes back to what we were talking about with list segmentation and making sure that you know who you're talking to and that you spend the time, whether it's upfront and certainly as you go and grow these relationships, to segment your audiences so that you can have kind of more intimate conversations with each of those audiences and tailor the conversation to them. You can only do that if you know who they are.
Right. And so one way to do this with your B2B guys is that you could say at the start, are you it depends on the market. If maybe you got both people signing up, employees and business owners, so you're not really sure about how to talk to them. You could have one, on your form, you just say, are you a business owner or are you, an employee of the company? And then you'd have two different autoresponder sequences for those two different groups of people.
Absolutely. So with Constant Contact, very simply, when people are signing up for the email, they can indicate who they are. Within the contact system, you could send out a survey that has more direct or questions that can get more into the nitty-gritty of who they are, and then you can go into each contact detail and tag those details with specific bits of information that will be helpful for you in segmenting them. So it's all there you have the capability to do it with, our tool and with others that are out there. So it's taking the time to do it. And when you do, you're just going to get way better results. So it's so important and so smart to do it.
That's cool. All right then. Well, we're right on time. Before we go though, we've been talking about Constant Contact a little bit through here, but tell me a bit more about what someone gets when they sign up. Obviously, they're going to get a phone call, which I'm almost tempted to sign up just to get that phone call. But tell me more about Constant Contact and what they get and where people can learn more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, signing up is pretty simple. You just go to constantcontact.com and you can sign up for a free trial. We offer a 60-day free trial with no obligation. Within that 60-day period, just so everyone knows, you can import 10 contacts or up to 10 contacts. So really the trial is more of a test drive, a test run of the products, rather than a way for you to really test out sending campaigns, really look at reporting. Much of that out of 10 contacts. So when you're ready and you feel like, okay, I get the product, I understand how it works, and I want to just go, you can convert to buying. We charge a monthly subscription fee for that. And based on the tools that you want to have access to, the size of your list, the pricing will vary.
Cool. And that's all at constantcontact.com.
It is, yes.
Cool. I'll have links to that in the show notes at themcmethod.com. So thanks you for coming on the show, Corissa.
Oh, you're so welcome, John. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. If you want to discover more insider tips, tricks, and secrets about driving sales with email marketing, sign up for daily email tips from the autoresponder guy. Go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast. Sign up, confirm your email address, and I'll send you daily emails on how to improve your email marketing and make more sales via email. You'll find out why open rates don't matter and the 7-letter word that underlies all effective marketing and much more.